Hey, folks, what's going on? Listen, listen, listen. Let's get into this real simple and real easy. It came to my mind this morning as I was waking up and meditating and praying and doing the things that I worshiping and doing the things that I do. You know, the idea of or the thought of how to experience the deep, abiding presence of God. And I don't want you to hear this religiously. I know a lot of times when we hear the word God, maybe even presence, spirituality, or any of those kind of things, we automatically go into this, I don't know, this religious mode. And I admit my background is heavily influenced by Christian faith or Christian existence and things like that, but I don't mean this in a religious, sense that I think many may take it. I mean it really at the head, at the heart and core of relationship and relational wisdom, not just relationship with the source, with Abba, Father, source. That's all the word Father means. It means source. Um, God, the Creator. Right. So not just our relationship with the divine, but also our relationship with ourselves, our relationship with one another, meaning just our existence, our being. So I hope you can hear it that way, or whatever. But this whole idea of how to experience the deep abiding presence of God is still, I used to be a worship leader, and this is still in line with that. Everything I do is still in line with that for those that don't think religious minded. When you actually really think to the depths of and core of the wisdom and the spirit of what I'm talking about, it's all still worship, you know. But anyway, so here's the answer to this, and it's not a formula. Most people would probably think, he's going to give us steps of how to, whatever. And it's not that kind of how to. It's not really a formula or some magic gimmick or whatever it is that we come up with, 18 steps to, whatever. It's a really simple answer that most of us will kind of be like, you're not going to be surprised when I say it, but most of us are like, yeah, okay, whatever. But how to experience the deep abiding presence of God? The simple yet deep answer is this: love. 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 There's a school of thought that believes that God is love, right? And what goes along with that school of thought is, that we are made in the image and likeness of this creator, of this God, right? We're made in the image and likeness of God. And that means that you're basically made just like him, of the same substance, so to speak, whatever. So in essence, all in all in all, and people have heard me say this throughout my entire content creating and all these things that I do, and start of relationality and all that stuff, or whatever. That you're made in that same image and that same in likeness. And if God is love, that means that so are you, right? That means that you're just like that, right? Your parents had you, they're humans, and they had you, you're human. Well, some of y'all, but you know, you get what I'm saying. It's like, but you're made in that same image and in that same likeness, whatever. And when I talk about this on a spiritual level, that and coming from God, a creator, because God is not a physical being like how we would see ourselves. It's like that same character, that same substance, that same qualities is the stuff that we're actually really made of. And this is what's holding all of this together. Look at this crazy, chaotic world. It's got to be somewhere in there that there's love holding all of this together, because I don't know what else would be, But anyway, so you're made in that same image and in that same likeness, right? So here's the thing. When we come to this space of loving deeply and loving authentically and really loving from the depths of our being, who we really were created in. I'm not just talking about these erotic types of love, or even not even just talking about brotherly love. I'm talking about the full sense of agape, unconditional love, that love that says, I'm here as well-being for well-being. That love that says, I'm looking to understand how we all can thrive, how humans were created to flow and thrive, how all of this is held together, all of the universe. That's even would include even nature and different things like that, or whatever. But when we get to this space of sharpening this within ourselves and honing this within ourselves, when we love deeply, all right, this brings us into a deep reality of presence. All right. This is how you abide in God's presence. It's not, church has thought for years that it was just get on your face and give up all your sins and or don't commit a sin and live in what we would call holiness, which means that you're doing everything right and all of those things. And those things are statements that are being said. And I know that people don't necessarily think that you always do everything right. But a lot of times that's what we have hung our idea of what holiness is, and that's not really the full depth of all of that, or whatever. But whatever our legalistic ideas, right, of holiness, or where we that's how we thought. Oh, that now you're a worshiper. When you're able to bow down and fall prostrate and get on your knees and lift your hands and shout praises and all these other little things, or whatever. And that's not acts of worship. I'm not saying that. Please don't take that as that. But I'm saying the fullness of all of this, the full depth of this, and getting in the presence of God. We don't need to have a conversation about the outer court, inner court, all these other things that is spoken about in the Christian church or whatever. We don't need to have that conversation right now. That's not necessary for what I'm getting at, because I'm going straight for the heart and straight for the spirit of what this is really ultimately about, or whatever. We already have on the inside of us kingdom. We already have on the inside of us this space of this divine connection, right? And when we tap into that space, and one of the ways we tap into that space, like I'm saying, it is love. You can put on conferences about prophecy. You can put on conferences about all of these other little things that we want to do, all of the gifts of the Spirit, all of these magical things that we see, all of the where are the signs and wonders and the this is that and the other. But anybody that really understands this idea of love, all of those things ultimately work by love. And I've been to several conferences, and this is sad to say, very few of them have said that their gifts of prophecy works by love, that their ability to really discern is working by love, that their ability to move forward in a word of knowledge is working by love. Very seldom have I ever, if ever, have I heard that. We think it works by just praying. Pray hard enough. Get crushed so you can be anointed. Folks, listen. And I'm rambling a little bit, but I think some of y'all know what I'm talking about. Love. You want to experience the deep abiding presence of God, of peace, of joy, the patience everybody talking about that they need, the protection of your energy. And I'm saying this in a way of the real guarding of your energy. Love. That brings forth that deep abiding presence. But when we love, there is a deep reality of this presence that is there, that is almost to some degree unspeakable. Not only is there presence, but that brings you into this space of authentic power. When I'm talking about power, I'm not talking about power, the kind of power that lords over somebody, but I'm talking about the spirit of power. It says we've not been given the spirit of fear, but of power, love, and sound mind. Love and sound mind. But the power that I'm speaking about is that authentic power, that authentic sense of just being in control of myself. Self meaning self-control, but that authentic power that just comes from no outside influence causing it to have to be something else. And I hope I'm explaining that correctly, because a lot of times we say, I'm taking my power back because somebody has violated us. I'm not even talking about that. I'm talking about just the presence and power, right? The energy, the spirit that comes from just being, the energetic being that you are, the spiritual being that you are, the God being that you are, the divine being that you are. Although we're human, we have a spirit. There's a lot of times you hear people say that we are just spirit having a human experience, or we are spirit having a human experience, right? So that's the space that I'm talking about, that authentic power of just being, right? Unconditionally being, right? And that moves us into a sense of purpose. And the purpose here, I'm not talking about an occupational purpose. I'm talking about a vocational purpose, just our design, our call, our ultimate call to that sense of being, to that authentic power, to, in essence, that presence, that power, that purpose is our essential self. That space of just simply being our essential self. So again, it's not necessary that meaningfulness, recognizing meaningfulness within ourselves and within our lives or whatever. It's not the vocational type of purpose. I mean, the occupational type of purpose, just what we're occupying ourselves with, our jobs, and what we feel, oh, I was designed for this kind of work, but I'm talking about just that sense of divine being that we've had, that vocation of being. And it's also sustainable, right? Not just seasonal, right? This is something that is actually makes up the sustenance of who we really are, the quality of who we really are. And this is ongoing. Another word to be able to put it would be to say absolute, our absolute worth, not just our ideas of self-worth. Because listen here, your ideas of self-worth can be extremely fallible. Because a lot of times we base self-worth off of what we do, and you got to know your worth. When you say, and listen, all of our worth is the same. Rewind that. All of our worth is the same. None of us are more worth or more worthy than the other. We're not talking about deserving. Some things people deserve this, deserve that. That's based off of sometimes that's based off of behaviors. But I'm talking about our worth, our sense of worth, that part of you that's made in the image and likeness of God. And all of us are made in that image and that likeness. So our worth is shared. It's an absolute. This is not the relative self-worth thing, right? Sometimes the only problem with self-worth is determining it. And we know ourselves can either inflate or deflate, so we can think of ourselves more highly than we ought to, or even less highly than we should, or whatever. So I'm talking about the kind of worth that is just completely absolute. It is a worth that is given to us by God and measured by God. It's not measured by our behavior. It's not measured by how well we lined up to things. It's not measured by how good we performed, or what status we grew in, how much money we got. It's not determined by any of that, All right, so those things come into play. But this alignment is like when we get to this space of simply loving from that, of simply honing what it means to really love. There's a deep, abiding presence in us that it's almost like, even though you may still experience troubles, this is still like heaven meets earth. If you understand what it's like heaven coming to earth. You've heard the statement saying, "Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven." That's what this really boils down to. It's like heaven meets earth in oneness, in this sense of oneness and solidarity, right? In getting rid of that illusion of separation type of thing. Now, again, hear me. This heaven meets earth doesn't mean that everything is going to always be peaches and cream. It doesn't mean that everything is going to always go the way you thought it should have went or wanted to go, or always go pleasantly. All right. Because here's the thing, when we really stand into the depths of love, love also gives you the ability to recognize suffering. It shows you where certain things are not love. There's a discernment that comes with it where, people think you look through these eyes of love and all you see is just these, beautiful whatever. It can come together to be beautiful because love responds to suffering. So love sees something is out of place and it comes to the rescue, or it comes to try to align it in some type of way, or to bring life to a dead situation, or y'all get what I'm saying, so I don't have to really dig on that. So it doesn't always mean that everything is going to always be smiles, right? Sadness in its proper place is a reflection of love. It's a reflection that we're actually really loving folks. I know everybody wants to get away from that, but it really can be. We think that sadness is a bad emotion, and it's like, it's not a bad emotion. It's what it is, and actually, if we didn't love anything or love anyone, there would be no such thing as like that. What are you sad about? So I think y'all get the understanding of that. When we love, listen, Loving brings us into the reality of abiding presence or oneness. It brings us into that reality. Love is our opportunity. Loving is our opportunity, and I can't think of the other word for it right now, but it's our, I would even say duty, I guess you could say that, but it's the very essence of connection. It's what brings us into solidarity with God and with one another and with ourselves, right? And this is one of the reasons I don't do a lot of talk about self-love, or because I don't feel like it's necessary when we truly understand love as a oneness. You're included in it, you're participated in it, you're made from it, and then that's how you deal with others, as if they're included in it, as if they're made from it, and as they're participating in it. That's the way you see God, as if he's included in it, he's made of it, he's participating in it, right? So, and there's not necessarily a chronological order for this. There's just a synchronization. It's all synchronized, and it's all flowing in a sense of oneness. When we come into that space, that, folks, listen, love, the unconditional type of love, when we really start to hone that, and you don't have to get it because it's already in you as a being made in the image and likeness of God. We just have to reveal it, uncover it, and let it come out, right? And that may take a lot of introspection and a lot of meditating and a lot of just sitting and chilling and really just asking your mirrors, looking in the mirror or whatever, because our relationships are mirrors to us too, y'all. Everybody looking for the relationship that fits, or the one that is just we're more compatible with. But the truth is, we're made in a way that's suitable for one another. And we can hone that suitability by standing in love and beginning to operate in love as a oneness, not as a separation of others' love and loving myself. And again, it's not saying don't take care of yourself. I'm not even gonna clause that. I'm gonna stop giving energy to that, whatever. But just that sense of love, when we come into this space of love and it brings us into a reality of an abiding presence or oneness with God. This is our design. This is not religion. Hear me. I'm not talking about religion. And ain't nothing wrong with your religion when it's undefiled. But I'm not talking about religion per se, just believing. This is true spirituality, true spiritual intelligence, true relational wisdom, just aligning in love. This is how we thrive as human beings, as beings made in the image and likeness of God, as spiritual beings. This is how we thrive. This is what we were designed for. This is how we were designed to create, to fill this space on this planet. And you can do that, or you can choose not to. And I do understand that it's difficult for a lot of us to enter into that space, but this is why we have one another. It's so that we can help coach one another and counsel one another and comfort one another, and be comrades with one another as we all try to live this space out. The real purpose of our relationships, folks, is to be our most essential self, our authentic, most essential self. And we've assigned all other kind of purposes to it. I need somebody to soothe me, to just comfort me and to rub my bones to make me feel good. But the real truth is so that you can align as love and align as your most essential self. So listen, of course, none of these things ever come out the way you want them to come out. But if you ask the question, how to experience the deep abiding presence of God, the answer is simple. It's to love, to be love, and also to be loved. So to give of the essence of who you are and to receive of the essence of who others is. That's how we experience. That's how we experience the deep abiding presence of God. Listen here. I am love for you. And every time I say it, it just holds me accountable to having to be in that space, to be loved. And it also brings me into the full presence of God. I am love for you, and I pray with all of my being that you will continue to be loved for me. All right, folks, this was today's sermon, relationality style. All right, folks.